What's going on, everyone? I'm Brian Michael with Kenny's Cooks, and we're back in the new year. Now, we know a lot of you have probably set out in January to change your lifestyles a little bit. You have new fitness goals, new desires, new body types it is you're going to be chasing after as we push into the summer, and we're not here for that. So today we're going to teach you how to make brown butter chocolate chip cookies. Cookies were something that showed up for us growing up a lot because they're cheap, they're fast, and they're delicious. You can't go wrong making these things unless you burn them. But then if you just start over, it's going to take another 15 to 20 minutes of your time and maybe another $3 out of pocket. These are just something you should add to your repertoire because everybody and anybody you introduce these to is going to thank you. Now, our version of these cookies, I'm not going to sit here and tell you is the best, but it's the best for what we look for. You're going to get an incredibly well caramelized bottom, you're going to get a crispy exterior, and you're going to get a nice, soft, chewy interior. Literally the perfect chocolate chip cookie for us. In order to get this whole thing started, we're going to have to take you through the steps, right? We got to show them right now how to do brown butter. So let's jump into that before we show you everything else. So we're going to start by adding 2 sticks of butter, which would be 1 total cup of butter, to a pan, and we're just going to cook it out. You're going to want to stir the butter occasionally because you don't want the bits at the bottom to pick up too much of the direct heat and then burn before anything else actually gets a chance to start caramelizing. Our first visual cue that we're on the right track is going to be that the bubbling is going to stop. Once that stops, it means all of the water has evaporated, which is going to allow us to start actually browning the butter. You need to transfer it relatively quickly and safely, and then if you're like us and you live in New England, you could pop the bowl outside for a little bit and it'll solidify. Careful if you're using glass because you don't want the hot temperature to shift too suddenly and then have yourself both be down one cup of butter as well as a glass bowl. That would be an absolute tragedy. All right, so to get this show started, we have to go in with our 1 cup of brown butter and 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. That's just going to be the base that we build all this off of. And we're not leaving anybody behind. This stuff smells absolutely ridiculous. And this guy is going to be our 2/3 cup of dark brown sugar and 2/3 cup of white sugar. But that's it, that's our first step. We're just gonna get those into the bowl, and then we're gonna start it on low so we don't make a mess. A massive mess. We're just gonna let it ride. Slow at first. And then we're gonna kick it on up to medium speed. I'm gonna cut this for a second. If you've never cooked with brown butter in any capacity, right? You just start. I'm just gonna say it. Just start. You need to stop. This is us. This is your intervention. You need to change. You need to change. Be different. Be better. I'm gonna stop. And I'm just going to give the bowl a scrape down because what has a tendency to happen regardless of what you're making is the sugars and the butter they're just not going to mix the way you want to at first. So those first initial couple of spins is actually just going to push either just straight butter or straight sugar up against the walls, and they're never going to actually be reintroduced together if you don't force them to. So we're going to go in now with our 2 eggs one at a time. Until fully incorporated. I'll throw that in there too before we go. Nice medium speed. We're gonna go in 1. You'll see it'll separate from the other egg pretty easily. So now we're gonna go in with the dry ingredients. And the dry ingredients are going to be 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, not baking powder, baking soda, as well as 1 teaspoon of both salt and espresso powder. The espresso powder, which we might have touched on earlier. As I do this, I ramble a lot. Just deal with it. So the espresso powder is going to help actually elevate some of the other flavors around it, such as the brown butter, such as the toffee, which we've added, but most importantly, the chocolate. Chocolate and espresso go together almost like nothing else, the same way that vanilla helps heighten some of the other flavors in here too, the same way the salt is going to. It's just another one of those little additions, not necessary, but it's just a nice little addition you can add in if you have it kicking around, which is really just going to take your cookie to the next level. So we're going to end up doing this in 2 batches because we don't want to develop the gluten too quickly. And what that would do if we added everything in right now is you would still get cookies that bake and would be probably enjoyable. If you add it in 2 batches, you end up with a softer, just more delicate center, and the outside will still be crispy the way you want it. Anytime you add dry ingredients, don't whip it to the speed you were just on. You're gonna flour cloud your whole kitchen, and cleaning this stuff out of the grout on your counter, it sucks. Just go slow. See, so you can see it's starting to incorporate. I'm gonna let it whip just a little bit more, a little faster. Beautiful, right? And then we're gonna do the same thing, just adding the last little bit in. So yeah, we're just gonna kick it up again on its lowest setting, just until you start seeing everything kind of incorporate back in together. Once you see the chunks forming and there's no large deposits of just the flour, you can turn it back up to get it to mix together a little faster, a little bit more aggressively. So all I've done is I scraped the sides of the bowl so that we can get as much of the dough integrated back in from the sides as we can. I've checked to make sure that there are no massive deposits of flour kicking around, because nobody wants a raw pocket of unmixed flour. That's gonna suck. Now that we know that's good, we're gonna go in with our 2 bars of chopped milk chocolate, salted caramel, sugar-free chocolate bars, and then we're just gonna fix that issue of sugar-free chocolate by going in immediately with a 1/4 cup of our optional ingredient, the Heath bar. And then these things just get folded in together, down from the bottom, fold over. And the motion for that is I'm just basically trying to get the spatula behind on the bowl and push it back in towards the center. And that's really it the whole time, is you just get underneath the thing and you push it back in towards the center. I don't know what size scoop this actually is, but we're gonna go for pretty large cookies here. And I'm just gonna, the technique behind it is you just scoop, flatten on the side of the bowl, that excess, just make sure that's gone. And then it's just gonna go right down on the tray. While we have this, I'm gonna just pick him up. We're gonna give him the Babish test run. I'm just gonna rip him in half, press him on the sides there. I'm just gonna drop him down like that, see what happens. So once you're done scooping them, pop them in the fridge. We gave these ones about an hour and a half. I recommend just doing 30 minutes at the bare minimum, but you could go up to 2 days. I don't personally advise anybody going up to 3 days, and that's just because there's raw egg in this. Whether they're pasteurized or not, doesn't really matter. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. I wouldn't do it personally. This is me telling you not to do it. They'll freeze for up to 6 to 8 months, no problem. So that way, maybe your kids are having a little get together, or maybe you are just having a particularly stressful week and you need to eat this one out. You can always just reach into the freezer, pull a couple out, and bake them for 4 or 5 minutes longer than you would normally. That's really all there is to it. We let them hang out a little bit, we let them get nice and firm, which is gonna help prevent them from spreading too much. And yeah, now we're just gonna bake them. We'll show you what you're looking for visually, but the best range I can give you is, because of the size of the cookie, it's probably gonna take somewhere between 15 and 18 minutes. It could take a little bit longer, it could take a little bit shorter. We'll keep you posted. So we preheated the oven to 375 Fahrenheit or do 350 convection. If you can, change the fan settings, try to use low. High might cause the tops to burn before the bottoms are set. And yeah, we're just, I'm so excited for this. So we're gonna get these in the oven. We'll check back in a minute. The biggest cues you're gonna wanna look out for while you're cooking, you can use visual all day, every day. Your eyes are gonna be your greatest ally in this sense. So just, not frequently, but maybe every 6 minutes, every 5-6 minutes, just give it a look, see where it's at. After 10 minutes, you should notice that it's probably starting to move away from just being blonde and just almost like it is developing no color. You're gonna start seeing it creep into that caramelized area where we're actually looking for. So you can actually perfectly cook something in the oven, pull it out, leave it on that hot tray, and when you come back to it in 2 to 3 minutes, have it be overcooked, or in this case with baking, even worse, you can just have it be burnt. So when the cookies come out, we're gonna transfer them off the sheet onto this so they can breathe below and above, and that'll give them a chance to kind of cool properly and evenly. And yeah, it'll help prevent the carryover cooking issue. If you had to guess which one was which, would you be able to tell? Probably not, right? I don't want to say that their method for a more rustic cookie is wrong. I don't know if our recipe did it any services, you know what I mean? Because this is the cookie that was just scooped, and then this is the one that was torn in half. Like I'm trying to, all of these ones were the ones that were scooped, and these were our 3 that were just torn in half. This is definitely the best looking of those 3 cookies. I'd die on that hill. Very similarly, any of these 3 could go toe to toe down. I mean, like, I'm gonna give him his flowers here, because even though we made more of the other ones, the torn method gives you the most consistent looking cookie. The scoop method gave me my favorite ones, but it also gave me my least favorite ones, like this guy, who he keeps jokingly referring to it as the Baskin Robbins scooped cookie. Maybe I can get the angle on it so you can see the top kind of looks like one of those commercials for scooped ice cream. This guy has it, but he also has plenty of chocolate chunks to kind of break that up. And then this guy, he has the ripples that way that he was talking about, but he doesn't have it so defined. But, and again, beautiful bottoms. That's what it's all about, is a beautiful bottom. So the cookies came out exactly how we wanted them visually, right? They're like perfectly golden brown on the bottom, crispy all the way around, and they have nice soft interiors. That was it. That's what we were shooting for. They're perfect every time we make them. They're perfect out the freezer. They're perfect out the fridge. It's a fail-proof recipe. There's not a whole heck of a lot you can do to mess these up, which is why we think you should just immediately add them to your repertoire. The only thing I might modify after this batch is we did a full teaspoon of espresso powder. I'd probably cut it back to about a half. Not because I thought it did anything bad to the flavor, it's just the more they sit, the more they kind of push into like a coffee cookie, which again isn't bad, it's not what we were aiming for just a finished profile, and it wasn't like that when they first came out, which is why we're bringing it up now, just upon reflection, full transparency, just to kind of give you the editor's notes live as they're happening. So if you liked what you saw, or we made you laugh, we made you giggle, do whatever, feel free to give us a like on the video. If you really enjoyed what you saw and you want to come back for more, hit that subscribe button. I pointed down here with crazy confidence, like I know where the hell it's even gonna be. I don't, so shot in the dark. I'm sure I 50% lost that one, huh? But yeah, no, just if you want to support the channel, you can do it for free by doing those 2 things. And if you actually try out the recipe, feel free to share it with us on our socials. We're very active on Instagram. You can find us at Kenny's Cooks, or me personally, you can find at Brian Michael Cooks. Very, very creative, very original, we know. But yeah, get after it, enjoy it. And much like we hope you do with our videos, you should share these cookies with everybody you know. All right? Much love. Thanks for tuning in. As always, be good. Peace.